What's up, everybody? It's your boy Wings of Redemption, and I'm back and bringing a little domination game here on Carbon, using the same strategy as I normally would use, but I think I used a more defensive strategy here. Originally, I showed you a strategy where I pretty much stayed in the middle of the map and did my thing. But this one, I think I used the right playing strategy, and it pays off with big dividends. But not here to talk about that. So what are we going to talk about today? It's survival horror as a whole. For those who are not familiar with the survival horror genre, the game that pretty much started it all was Resident Evil. Well, that's what I would have told you yesterday. I couldn't sleep last night, and the commentary before this, you kind of heard the reason I couldn't sleep last night. I was busy live streaming. But before I got started live streaming, I was sitting around doing what I like to do myself. I like to look at Wikipedia. A lot of people don't like Wikipedia. They're like, "Oh, Wikipedia, Wikipedia, she makes shit up." Who cares, dude? Wikipedia is a wonderful site that generally has 99% credible information. It's a great site. You should check it out, learn something. But what I was looking at the other day was a survival horror. Actually, I looked at Resident Evil, and I seen the little blue thing up at the top that goes survival horror. Well, let me kick on that. So it gives me the basis of survival horror. And to come to find out that Capcom made a game before Resident Evil called Sweet Home. And Sweet Home was an RPG made in 1989 for the Famicom. The Famicom stands for Family Computer and is basically the Super Nintendo Entertainment System in Japan. It is what the Super Nintendo Entertainment System based off of. And they ported it over to the Western States, which is us. Yay! But it never got released in the West because of, graphic death scenes and stuff like that. And back in the day, Nintendo was more worried about censorship. I don't know. They made that game back in the day, but nowadays they probably wouldn't make a game like that. So I don't know how censorship got better or worse. But that's all gravy. But the game itself has a lot of instances. And come to find out, Resident Evil is supposed to, or Biohazard, is supposed to be a remake of Sweet Home. Sweet Home took place in a manor. Resident Evil takes place in a mansion. Sweet Home, well, it's kind of hard to say. Sweet Home had zombies and random encounters, kind of like Final Fantasy, whereas Resident Evil had more like a zombie-based storyline. But it's all pretty much the same thing in the long run. They had the door loading scenes, you had to do puzzles, certain characters that could hold certain items, multiple storylines. They had areas where you had to put items in. You had limited slots where you could carry. All this right here was built into the game, and I was like, wow, that's neat. And that also got me into another series, the Clock Tower series. And I've recently been watching people do Let's Plays on Clock Towers. And for those of you who know, when I watch YouTube videos, I usually don't watch Call of Duty videos. I usually watch stuff like, well, let me go ahead and tell you. One of my personal favorite things to watch is FMGs. Where people don't know what FMGs is, FMVs, I'm sorry. I'm sure thinking about the stupid ass weapons right now because I'll probably get raped by them here soon in a minute. But full motion video. There was a period where CDs first came out and floppy disks were becoming irrelevant, that people realized, these are so big we could put movies on these. And that's what they ended up doing. They ended up putting movies. They'd come in like packs of 9 to 10. And instead of doing computer graphics, they would just have humans act out different scenes, and you would interact with them. And I love those freaking games. And the Spoonie actually got me into these type of games. I love watching him. He had Phantasmagoria too, and I watched that entire thing. I seriously did. I was so enthralled with that series. I would lay on my bed and watch it. And that's what I do on my days off at the time. I'd sit there and watch Spoonie play Phantasmagoria too, and I enjoyed it. I didn't really care if he had funny commentary or not, as long as he talked a little bit. But it made me go maybe I should go watch Phantasmagoria. So I went and looked at Phantasmagoria, and I watched some Australian girl play the entire game, and it was a cool ass game. It had a cool ass storyline, and it has one of the coolest characters ever in video game history in it, Crazy Bob. Her husband gets possessed by this wizard that used to live in their house. God, I forgot the name of it. Forgot the name of the house, but he goes batshit crazy. He like wearing like human wigs and blood, and he's like, ugh. You'd have to look it up. It's weird, and you end up having to kill him at the end of the game. But that's all neato. But wow, Phantasmagoria was an odd game. And it kind of like, where is these games at anymore nowadays? Now it's all computer thing. I guess you got games like Rise of Nightmare coming out, and you have like, Silent Hill Downpour. Video games that took too much of a seriousness to it. Like, I don't know what to say. It's just like, there's no more inventive horror games out of there. Like you couldn't see like a game based off of a magician that possesses people that live in his house through a book. Nowadays you have like, monsters. There's not too much of the survival horror genre still around. What are your guys' take on the survival horror genre? Do you think games like Resident Evil 4, where the downfall of the genre itself, taking more to action into account, would make based off Twitch shooter to appeal to a master audience? Or do you think survival horror will actually come back? Because from 96 to 2000, it was king. Let me know what you think, people.